So this is going to be lesson 3 of our unit 2. This is going to be on slope. As mentioned with linear equations, we have this what's called this constant rate of change. This is constant rate of change here. And this constant rate of change we've referred to as it's called slope. If two solutions are known, the slope can be determined as well. So the way we do this is if we're given 2 points, so x1, y1 is going to denote 0.1, and x2, y2 is going to denote 0.2. So we have a little comma there. So remember, the slope formula basically is the change in y over the change in x. But remember, to find change, you actually have to subtract. So to find the change, the slope formula becomes then this here. So if you subtract the y values, so y2 take away y1, and then on the denominator to find the change in the x's, if you subtract the x values, x2 minus x1, if you simplify that ratio, that fraction, that becomes the slope of a line. Like I said, in my lab, they prefer that to be in simplest form. So if I want to find the slope of a line that passes through the given points, I can use the slope formula. M equals this y2 take away y1 over this x2 take away x1. Now the catch is you have to label 0.1 and 0.2. It doesn't matter who you call 0.1 and 0.2. So I'm just going to decide that this is 0.1. So this is going to be x1, y1. And then this is going to be 0.2. This is going to be x2, y2. So from there, it really is just straight substituting into the formula. So I have 3 take away a -1 over 5 take away 2. So when negatives are involved, I like to use the circle method. So I have a -3, and then what I do is I add what's in the circles. So what I have in the circles is a -3, but remember, what I'm adding to that is the opposite of a -1, which is actually a +1, over this 5 minus 2. So -3 plus 1 would be, that would actually be a -2, and then 5 minus 2 would be 3. So my slope would be -2/3. You also could put the negative out in front and call it -2/3. So you don't have to put it in the numerator. You can also put it out in front. I like to have it in the top, but it doesn't really matter. So if I have these 2 points, I can graph the line as well using some tick marks there. Let me create some tick marks here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excuse me. So once we make our tick marks, we can actually plot those 2 points and we can graph the line using those 2 order pairs. So I have a order pair 2, -1. So I have a 2, -1. So I'll plot that point. Bring it out a little bit further. And then the other order pair is we have 5, 3. So 5, 3 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Looks like about here. So again, I have 1, 2, -1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. So from there, we can draw a line passing through those 2 order pairs. So that's not bad at all. Looks good. So that'd be a graph of our line. Notice how it's going up, so it's a positive slope. And we said our slope was -2/3. So something's not quite right here. So what did we do wrong? So we have 3 take away a -1. Oh, there's my problem. I did my subtraction wrong. All righty. So let's fix our slope because I didn't match up with our graph. I used to double check sometimes. Okay, so reset. So again, my y value is actually a 3. So 3 take away a -1 and 5 minus 2. So again, we can kind of recognize that this is the first term and this is the second term. So this becomes then 3 plus 1 over 5 minus 2. So it's going to be 4 over 3. So 4/3. See if that matches our slope as well. So if we rise up from one of the points up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and run over 3, do we end up on that graph? Yeah, it looks like we do end up on that graph there. So not too bad. That looks much better. So this next one we have is, let's find the slope of these ordered pairs. So again, my slope formula is m equals this y2 take away y1 over this x2 take away x1. So again, your 0.1, 0.2 doesn't matter which one you want as who. Again, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to call the first point 0.1. I'm going to call the second point 0.2. But it doesn't matter who you call 0.1 and 0.2. So based on what I did, this is going to be -2 take away a -1 over 3 take away -5. So got a bunch of negatives here. So if I circle, I can kind of see this a little better. So what I have is on the top, I have a -2 and a +1. And on the bottom, what I'm seeing there is a 3 and the opposite of a -5. So it means 3 and a 5 on the bottom. So that means we're going to end up with a -1 over 8 as our slope. So again, to graph it, we have this -5, -1. So let me make some tick marks here. All right, so I've got some tick marks plotted there. So we have a -5, -1. So that would mean we're going from here, left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 1. So we should be down there somewhere. Let me do that a different color again. Bring it out a little bit more. So then the other order pair was 3, -2. So from the origin, we go 1, 2, 3, down 2. So 3, -2 would be about here. So if we draw our line passing through those 2 points, kind of see it. It's not great. I'm gonna try to do that again. That's a little bit better. So that looks much better. And since our slope was a -1/8, our graph should be going downward, and it is. So we're in good shape there with our graph. So if we want to determine the slope of the line, we just have to use, again, our slope intercept or our slope formula. So see if we can do that. So again, m equals this y2 take away y1 over this x2 take away x1. So again, if you want to pause the video for a little bit and do your math, and we can come back and compare things here. So I have this 0.1, this 0.2, excuse me. So my formula says to go 2 minus 2. And then we have -3 minus 3. So on the top, we have 0. On the bottom, we have a -3 and a -3, which makes a -6. So again, if I kind of circle, I can kind of see that a little bit better on the bottom. So -3 and a -3 makes a -6. It's easier to add integers than it is to subtract them. So when you circle, it's more of an addition thinking. And since the signs are the same, we know we add and keep the sign. So we know that this actually turns into 0 because if you check it, 0 times -6 does give me 0. Or how many -6s does it take to get 0? Well, I don't need any to do that. So that slope is 0. So if we graph the line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So notice how we have a 3, 2. So 3, 2 would be over here. And a negative 3, 2 would be over here on this other side. And it looks like we have a horizontal line. So remember how we mentioned earlier, why does it keep doing that? What am I doing wrong? So as we mentioned earlier, a zero slope represents a horizontal line. So let's say if you have two ordered pairs and the y values are the same, that's going to be a signal that this is going to be a horizontal line. And also the slope is going to be 0. Some things to pick up on. So notice how now we have the x values are the same. So let's see what happens when the x values are the same. So again, let's find the slope. Again, if you want to pause the video for a minute, you can come back. So we have y2 take away y1 as our slope formula, x2 minus x1 on the bottom. Again, we have this 0.1, so I'll call him 0.1. This is going to be 0.2. So I'm going to use x2, y2 there. So I have on the top, I have 2 take away a negative 2. On the bottom, we have 4 take away 4. So again, on the top, we have this 2 and the opposite of negative 2. That means we really have a 2 plus 2 on the top. On the bottom, we have a 0, so it's going to be 4 over 0. So how many zeros does it take to get 4? Well, that's not possible. In other words, what can you multiply by 0 to get 4? That's not possible. So this is actually undefined. So this actually means there's no slope. There's no number to describe the slope where we would say no slope. So there's no numerical value that goes with this. So if we graph this, we have got some tick marks going this way. Some tick marks going down. Some tick marks going to the right. So 4, negative 2 would put us over here on the, over here. 4, negative 2 would be here. And 4, 2 would be about here. And that's how we now kind of see this is materializing into a vertical line. So that represents then a vertical line passing through x equals 4 there. Probably could have done a little bit better than that. Let's see if I can make that look a little bit better. Just a hair off. Sometimes that bothers me, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see if I can do a little bit better. So a little bit better. So that would be a vertical line. So if the x value is the same, this is going to be a vertical line. And vertical lines actually don't have a slope, nor do they have a y-intercept. Notice how it's parallel. It's parallel to the, here's the y-axis here. So the graph doesn't actually cross the y-axis either. So there's not even a y-intercept on that either. So if I gave you these two equations, could you recognize which one's horizontal, which one's vertical? So notice how the x coordinates are the same here. That means this has got to be vertical. So you can almost mentally visualize graphing those points. Notice here how the y values are the same. So that means this is going to be horizontal. Okay, so that concludes a little lesson on our slope and how to find slope given two ordered pairs.